Yep, got some new music this week. We're gonna see if we can't clean it up a little bit on that end, uh, make things a little bit better. Um, but obviously back again for High and Tight Sunday night, 7:30. Um, Coming in kind of hot. Got home about I guess 20 minutes ago. Coming back from DC, Arlington, Northern Virginia, whatever you want to call it. Um, and joining me as always is Assistant Scouting Director Jordan Jones. Jordan, how you doing? Enjoyed a nice afternoon with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
fam. Had a day off.
yeah. Had a good afternoon today, so can't complain.
Happy birthday to Mama Dukes.
Yeah,
Um, but again, appreciate everybody joining us. My name is Jason Burton. I'm the Virginia DC Scouting Director, and like I said, Jordan Jones, Assistant Scouting Director, joining us. We're joining me tonight, and we're going to jump right into it. The first thing that we're going to talk about is just kind of a brain dump from my day today at O'Connell. Paul the Sixth at O'Connell. Two teams currently ranked in the Power 25. Paul the Sixth jumped out to an early start, 3 runs in the first, back-to-back triples from Alex Peltier and Jackson Soroy to start the game off. And then Will Tye goes out of right field for a 2-run home run. They go up 3-0. That score holds for a little bit. And then Bishop O'Connell ties it up 3-3. Big hit by Michael Powell to tie it up. And then PVI slowly chips away and gets it to 5-3. O'Connell tried to mount a little comeback in the bottom of the seventh. Made it 5-4. Left a runner on first base. AJ Murray came in for a pinch hit. I know he's been a little dinged up, but he came in for a big pinch hit. Scored the fourth run, or brought the fourth run in for them, and then after that, PBI got a strikeout to end it, um, and another quality win for the Panthers of Paul the Sixth. So that's just kind of like I said, kind of a brain dump. It's good to get that off the mind while we can, just because it's a very busy week, especially at this time of the year. All right, Jordan, we're going to jump right into it. First thing that we want to discuss: Power 25. It is a mess. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, and I think for a couple of reasons. Like I was talking to a coach the other night about it. I mean, outside of maybe the top 3, 4, 5, there's some private schools up there at the top that are pretty strong, and just like anybody, they have their days on and off. Um, but I think what's happening is, that if you will, for lack of better ways to put it, that second tier of teams, um, you can face, just say 5 through 40 against each other on any given night. And that one game, one team's got their best arm, the other team may be down on arms or deep in the week or something like that. And then they end up, pulling out a victory. And I think that's why some teams are getting beat up. Jordan, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, like we've had some unfortunate weather the last few weeks that kind of messes up everyone's schedule, their plans with the rotations and things like that. So that definitely takes you take that in consideration. Hey, I'm supposed to have my one versus their one. Oh, we had a game cancellation now. Rotations out of sync, so that definitely plays a part when some teams run into each other, and they don't end up winning a game that they expect to. So that kind of just throws things off. So that's where I'm kind of getting a little muck of a mess in that little area right there with those teams. But I mean, weather's starting to break out a little bit more, where maybe we won't be able to run into that type of situations going on for the rest of the spring.
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of a great point is, we're seeing some teams who are playing 1 and 2 games a week because they loaded up, kind of early or played a bunch of games on spring break. And so now they're lighter on the back end, and now they're playing a team that was maybe heavier on the front end and stayed local and ran into a bunch of weather. I mean, we saw, some teams playing last week that had 4 and 5 games, and they were playing some teams that had only played 2 games. So that's a huge difference. And, you really got to ask, for the depth of your pitching staff to carry you and for your offense to step up big. And that offense might have to step up big, with your 4 or 5 starter or 4 or 5 or 6 arm on the mound versus their number 1 or 2. Um, so it's kind of it's tough right now because everybody, like you said, is kind of backloaded on the schedule just because of those couple of weeks of weather. So it is a mess. It is jumbled. Um, what are some things that you and I and us take into account when navigating uh, who should be wearing that Power 25 outside of the record?
I mean, kind of talked about it last week. Just strength of schedule, who you're playing, because you have your district schedule, and that really doesn't change. Like, you know what that schedule that you know you're going to play. So especially early in the year when you have those out of conference, out of district games, um, that really determines who comes in and out. Like you may have a really hard schedule against some great teams, and maybe win those close losses, whatever that may be. That definitely takes into account because just like in any other sport above like Division 1, strength of schedule plays a big part of that. So that's really what we really take into consideration when we're looking at the Power 25 and who goes where, things like that.
For sure, quality of wins, quality or lack thereof of losses, strength of schedule, all of those things. There's some, there's a few teams that are undefeated right now and may go undefeated for quite some time. And it's especially dealing with the district schedule. There's nothing that you can really do with your district schedule for the most part, right? Like that's out of your control. That's one of those things that comes up in conversation in college football rankings and basketball rankings, more so probably college football. Every year, you have to play the schedule that you've been given. Now, obviously, you're in control of some of the out of conference or out of district stuff. Um, so, I mean, Matoka right now, 7-0, Central District, and I can kind of say this because I'm from this area and coached in the Central District for quite some time. Central District is in a tough spot. It is. It's going to be tough for me to foresee Matoka losing a game or 2 games in their district schedule. They're 2-0 right now. They have 2 tough games left versus Cosby, which is a different district. Um, and they're playing up from 5A to 6A to play those 2 games. But, they have what we talked about earlier before we got on here, 12 games left, 2 of them versus Cosby. And then the other 10 versus Central District teams. And I really find it hard to believe that, that they're getting to the playoffs with worse than a 16-3 schedule. I think they only have 19 is what we can see on the schedule right now, the 20-game schedule. I really don't know that there's a way for them to finish 16-3. And I hope I love Coach Stutz. That's my guy. But I hope I don't jinx them. But I mean, that's a pretty easy road, for lack of better ways to put it, for them for the rest of the year outside of those 2 games at Cosby. I saw my man JT Brown hitting over 700 right now. I mean, let's have a few weeks, huh?
That's crazy.
722 with a home run, and what'd you say? No punchies.
Yeah, no punches.
Yeah, pretty good start to the season for JT. 2025 uncommitted. My man can hit. All right. Potential new faces. What you got? Potential new faces maybe coming in and showing their face in the Power 25 this week.
Yeah, name would be EC Glass. I got a chance to see him one time this past week, but they played a total of 3 games and dominated all 3 of them. 35 total runs in those 3 games. So the offense got going. They got some good starting pitching throughout the week to really set the tone and just let the offense flow. So that's definitely a team you could see coming into the Power 25 this week.
Yeah, and I was trying to pull it up. I mean, you said they scored 35 runs, which is, obviously a solid week, especially with the 3 teams that they played. but they were 15 nothing versus an Amherst team who was ranked at the beginning of the year, 10-3 over Brookville, and then 10-5 over previously unbeaten JF. So really good week for the what are they, Hilltoppers? Yep,
Hilltoppers, yeah.
DC Glass Hilltoppers. That's down your neck of the woods, kind of, sort of, right? Or
In a
old
way,
neck of the woods.
yeah,
Jordan's moved up. He's moved to Richmond area.
yeah. I'm
Um,
still 434 area code. Right over here, 434. Still
four
on
three
record.
four at heart. Um, all right, so I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna be the homer, right? And be what what Nolan always says. But I could definitely see Hanover coming in this week. Back-to-back 4A state champions. They lost a lot off of last year's team, and I've had this discussion with multiple people close to that program, um, and I got told the other night that we're on the dartboard and they just throw darts at us, because we doubt them. But they did. They lost a lot. It was a lot of unknown with the offense coming in, and the pitching staff. We knew that they were going to have depth. We didn't know like how some of those younger arms were going to come along. Bryce Crines has come along really well. The sophomore right-hander came in relief of Nick's the other night, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But just a really good start to the year. I didn't know this. I know that they lost a really close one to PVI down in South Carolina. Did you know they were up 8-1 in like the top of the second or third?
I had no idea about that.
I
Wow.
didn't either till the other night. Yeah, they were up 8-1 in like the top of the second or third. And I want to say, I know PVI scored like 17. I want to say that they scored like 15 or 16 of those runs in like 2 innings. So PVI scored a large bulk of those runs in like in 2 of those kind of middle innings. I want to say I looked at it. Hanover scored in 4 innings with crooked numbers. But yeah, they were up like 8-1 in like the top of the second or third. So the offense is coming along. And again, we'll get into it a little bit more later. Offense struggled the other night. They ended up winning, but that basically anybody's offense is going to struggle when Noah Yoder is on. We'll talk about that a little bit, but yeah. So those are 2 new teams that are potentially coming into the Power 25. Obviously, with 2 coming in, at least 2 coming in, you got some people moving out. Some teams had some tough weeks this week. And again, that just goes back to what we talked about with a schedule being loaded up. And then sometimes you end up, trying to win one so bad that you end up losing 2 or 3 because of it. You throw all your eggs into that basket. A team that is not currently in the Power 25, but was pretty high up there at the beginning, was Freedom. Freedom had some really quality wins this week. They did have 1 loss that we were, I guess you could say, not anticipating early in the week, but then they knocked off 2 ranked teams in Battlefield and Miller School later in the week. I want to say those were back-to-back nights, Friday and Saturday. If I'm correct in saying that, but regardless, I know they knocked off both of those teams, so 2 really quality wins for Coach Wright's Freedom team. When Pew's on, they're really good, and when they have a chance to kind of get out early in some innings. When I say get out, like get on base with nobody out, and they run and they move guys over, and things fall into place for them when they're able to get some guys on early in innings, just like anyone. But they're really good. Coach Wright's group is really good at manufacturing runs. So I think when they're able to do that, it puts them in a much better situation. Jordan, anything else to add on the Power 25?
No, I don't think so. We just got some good teams coming through. It was a big week for some guys. So yeah.
Outstanding insight. Absolutely outstanding. No, All right, we're gonna get into the meat and potatoes of this a little bit. Um, so I know early on in the week you had a chance to go to Stafford, Fredericksburg. This is Stafford. Well, I guess Riverbend's Fredericksburg.
Yeah, Fredericksburg. Yeah.
Forge is from Stafford. So you had a chance to go to Forge and Riverbend, and I know you came out of there pretty pumped up. I was in Nova that night as well, and then we met up for some dinner afterwards and talked about some players and got to watch a little of the national championship game. So just take me through some guys who stood out and that you really liked that game.
Yeah, so the first guy that stood out for me was Michael Guckian, 2026 from Colonial Forge, and just walking up to him, seeing him in person, he's good frame, strong body, and just offensively, you see that twitch, that rhythm in the hands. His first AB stood out. It was upper 80s fastball, first pitch that he saw in the top of the second, and on time. Just rips a loud line drive out to left for a single. So that really stood out to me. He's, hey, I'm aggressive. I see a fastball. I'm on time. So that really stood out to me. It's a nice swing. Later in the game, he had a later at bat, and he hit an absolute bomb foul. I get it was a foul, long strike. The crowd kind of yelled at, but I mean, like, there's some strength in the frame. And if that ball was inside of the foul pole, it would have been up in some trees. So he really stood out for me offensively there. Started for Colonial Ford, Dylan McCarthy. He got the start. 82, 84, touched 85. He hides the ball really well. Shorter arm action. The fastball sneaks up on hitters. He gave them a good start and put them in position to win that game. So that was intriguing. He's 6'5", 215 pounds, but still projection left. So he's an interesting arm to follow this spring. And the starter for Riverbend, Luke Alexander, 2025 JMU commit. Um, he was 85, 88, showed a firm slider, 81, 83, but he attacked the corners with the fastball. Ran into some trouble later in the game, but I mean, only gave up one earned run and he had 10 strikeouts. So obviously he missed some bats, just had some unfortunate luck there later in the game where error kind of made it roll on for Colonial Forge. But I mean, he's projectable. I think he has a chance to throw pretty hard. Some velocity should tick up as he continues to get stronger. That was some standouts for me for that game.
Yeah, no, I know that's obviously we talked at length about Guckian, but I know that Alexander was one of the first ones that we talked about when we sat down. I do remember the words. I think he's got a chance to throw hard, and that first slider here in the video was pretty tight. And, good body. I mean, it looks like he repeats really well. Has some feel for what he's doing on the mound. So JMU commit junior. So it was good. It's been a while since we've seen him in game. It's sometimes it's just tough to line up arms because we were looking at this week's schedule uh, in one area or region specifically, and nobody plays on Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. Everybody plays on Tuesday and Thursday. Um, and so we're trying to send out certain people to certain games and this, that, and the other. And uh, it's tough when everybody plays the same night. So we don't always get that matchup of arms that we want to, but we were lucky enough to get the chance to see Dylan McCarthy, the junior uncommitted right-hander, and then obviously Alexander as well. Um, let's see. So my Monday night went and got a chance, and I'll be honest, like I was going to see Mason Bull, the West Virginia commit, 2025. We hadn't seen Mason since last year, and obviously, similar to for you, like we go to see Forge, and really the main reason for going to that matchup was to see the pitching matchup. The reason we went to that game was to see the pitching matchup because we're getting an arm that we haven't seen in a while. That's a committed arm, and then we're getting a chance to see a big, potential projectable right-hander that's a junior that's put up, supposedly put up some decent numbers this spring as far as velo and stuff. And then, you kind of stumble into somebody like Guckian. Man, that swing plays. But anyway, go on Monday night to see Mason Bull. And he's been a little bit dinged up, and he's back and healthy and playing short, made some nice plays, put together some quality ABs. And similar kind of stumble into to two uncommitted guys. One of them being Adam. I hope I pronounce it right. Barrington, left-handed hitter for Wakefield. That ball right there landed just foul. Uh, he had a double out of the box, and then his next at bat, he hit, I believe it was a 2 RBI single or RBI single into right center field. The swing just played. It's a compact body, gets out of the box well, left field, center field profile. I just like the actions. I like the BP. He may have had the most consistent BP that I saw on that day as far as like bat to ball, barrel feel, hit tool. I thought it was really good. Really intrigued by him. That's my first time seeing him. Um, and then, kind of the big winner of the night for me was Kalen Hackman. This is like a 6'6", 6'7" right-hander with electric arm speed. What was he up to, Jordan? 91?
I think it was 91.
Yeah. I know it was 90. I think it was 91. I don't think it was 92. Again, I apologize for not being 100% prepared, but I've been gone since like 10:15 this morning. But if you watch this slider, this first slider is just an absolute frisbee. Like just pull the string, no chance. It was one inning, so I don't want to like get crazy and kind of go overboard into like long-term thoughts. But the body, the way the arm moves, it's pretty thin. He's got a ton of projection as far as projection in terms of like ability to fill out, and there's definitely some polish left to add on the mound to just the whole operation. And again, it's one inning. First couple hitters, he was pretty dialed in around the zone. Two hitters there, he got a little bit, I guess, scattered, maybe more 1-1. And then he got out of the inning. It is electric stuff. I know that for the next probably 18 hours, 12 to 18 hours, was getting multiple text messages and phone calls from people across the board. Power fives, mid majors, Division Ones, East Coast, Midwest. We were sitting at dinner. And got messages from a school not so close to here. So definitely a very intriguing arm that has a chance to be special long term with that arm speed and with the body. Jordan, anything Tuesday, Wednesday for you as far as trips that you want to touch on?
Yeah, Tuesday headed to the 434 East EC Glass in Brookville. And but one person that stood out to me right away was Tyler Rule. He got to start for EC Glass and he dominated both sides. Hopped on the mound. He started the game off with a couple curveballs. I was okay, curveballs going early, and then just pops an 86 on a strike three on the outside half. So velo has ticked up since we've last seen him. He was 83, 85. He held that velo, touched the 6. I believe he had 10 strikeouts in that outing in 4 innings. So he was missing bats, attacking the zone early, showed feel for spin. So that was good to see. And then offensively for him, he had 2 of the bigger hits of the night. He had a triple into the right center gap that score. He led off inning with that, and then he had a double to deep center that scored a couple of runs. So he impacted the game on both sides of the ball that night. It was his night. He dominated. He knew what he wanted to do. He had a plan. So it was good to see him continue to grow from when we last saw him last fall. Go ahead.
This is a kid who obviously is a sophomore now, 26, started all year as a freshman on varsity, and for all sakes and purposes, like for a team who's been pretty successful in the past couple years, because they have just had one reason is because they've just had some dominant arms. You have Michael Harpster, who obviously was there, and Campbell probably more so last year made his presence known, and obviously this year. but a guy who started at shortstop and kind of been in those situations. There were some big arms out in that area the past year or two between JF and LCA, and obviously you got like Wentz at Amherst and some of those guys. So it's a guy who's seen a little bit of everything very early on in his career. But sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
You're good. Um, on the other side for Brookville, Mason Coleman, 2026 shortstop. For Brookville, he bats in the middle of their lineup and he impacted the game early for them. He made consistent plays at shortstop. And then offensively, he got up in his first AB, had a run in the third. He knew what he needed to do. Got the barrel to a tough pitch outside on the outer half for a sac fly. And that swing right there was later in the game. He turned the barrel for a single. But he just fluid actions at short, high IQ. He knows how to make the plays. He takes control of the middle of that infield. So it's good to see him get some offense production in the middle of that lineup and kind of be the leader for the Brookville Bees this year as a sophomore.
Yeah, I know. I know. I intend at some point to make my way out to see Brookville. Um, so excited to get a chance to go see Coleman and some of those younger guys and some of those guys on that team. Um, my Tuesday consisted of Patrick Henry Ashland at deep run. Got a chance to see two uncommitted arms. Um, Parker Noonan for deep run started. I want to say he went four. I don't think he went five. I think he went 4 innings. No hits, gave up one run, right? That doesn't happen a ton. One run, no hits. Had a few walks here and there. Not anything crazy. Fastball changeup. The changeup's a really, really, really good high school pitch. Doesn't show the breaking ball much. Low to mid 80s arm, but quality start for him. Um, and then got a chance, to check in on Zelazny. Looks like he's been a little bit dinged up as well. I'm making trips to see positional guys that, uh, look like they're coming back from some things. I know he started. We DH'd. He DH'd in that game and then came in later at second base when they made some positional changes. So they have some. Patrick Henry Ashland has some young positional players. The young arm of 26 that started for them. But yeah, that was my Tuesday night. Um, Wednesday was kind of a jam-packed day for everybody, and I'm going to touch on a little bit for me. I know that Jordan got out to a game, but I'm going to focus a little bit more on my trip on Wednesday. First off, I went down to NHSI that morning to see St. John's, and they faced off versus Haggerty, I believe. It was a number 15 ranked team in Florida for Prep Baseball Florida. And St. John's came out with the win. I believe they won 5-3. I'm pretty sure Marcus Martin left the bases loaded there to end it. Clayton Armour, quality start, pitched through the rain, had some really big hits, 2 big hits early on for him. And again, a quality win for St. John's. They put pressure on the defense early on and played a little bit of small ball, like the Cadets like to do a little bit. And Haggerty had a tough time defending it, and they got multiple runners on. And then, like I said, Arma cashed in with a couple big hits, and he made some big pitches on the mound. And then Martin came in to close it out at the end. And then I got in the car and made my way back for a big matchup in Mechanicsville at Mechanicsville High School, where Douglas Freeman visited the Mustangs, and got a chance to see what definitely will be one of the most dominant performances of the year. And that was Cayman Good, 7 innings, 16 punchies. Here is some of the video. This will run a little bit longer. That's good. Y'all get to see the video and not us. Absolutely dominated. Struck out 8 on fastballs, 8 on curveballs. I believe he had, if I remember correctly, he had like 22 swings and misses with I want to say it was like 15, 16, 14, somewhere in there. 14 to 16 on the fastball, and then the rest on the breaking ball. Fastball, curveball, slider. I thought probably threw a few too many breaking balls early on. Not necessarily to establish the fastball, but just like my man was 90, 93, touching 94. Um, you know, pretty much any lineup with the way it jumps out of his hand has a chance to overpower high school hitters. But a lot of breaking balls early, and then just took over the game with fastballs later. Really dominant performance. No runs, a couple walks here and there. I want to say it was 2 or 3 hits, 2 or 3 walks. 2 or 3 hits, couple walks, no runs. So yeah, dominant performance from him. 16 strikeouts, and then the opposing arm, Jackson Garland, UVA commit. Uh, he was a little bit shaky in the first, but settled down really well. He really did. Um, 87 to 90. I believe, if I'm correct, touched 91. Um, couldn't establish a feel for the breaking ball in the first. I think he was just a little bit amped up, um, and was getting under it a little bit, just kind of leaking down a little down the mound. Um, but you see there, obviously, the later he got into the outing, he was able to finish that breaking ball. Um, and was really solid on the back end of his start. Then Caleb Smith, the Liberty commit, came in up to 92. I know that's a PR for him. I think 90, 91 is as well. But he came out pretty hot. Similar, didn't have a feel for secondary. It was kind of backing up on him out of the hand. But he was really able to kind of take over some at-bats with the fastball. And I think, after the first inning or so of his relief, like he didn't really try to go to the breaking ball much and just kind of said, here it is, come and get it. Quick arm. He's made a really nice jump. And, as he continues to develop and the secondary continues to develop, he'll be a very, very intriguing arm going into, next year, his senior year. Just another quality pickup for the Flames out of Liberty. Not a ton of offense to talk about out of that one. Some pretty powerful arms. I know the first two hitters in that Freeman lineup kind of carried the load. Lee Sowers had 2 singles. Ryder Warren goes backside double off the fence in his first at bat, and then had a single later in game. So they had like 4 of like 5 or 6 hits. There wasn't a lot of hitting to go around that night, and understandably so with those arms. So that was my Wednesday. Jordan, Thursday, what you got?
I'm gonna go to Friday because my Thursday game got moved.
Oh, you're rained out. You chose to stay home.
Relax. But yeah, I'm gonna talk about that game. Hickory went to Great Bridge. And Dawson Newman, 2024 Longwood coming got the start for Great Bridge. And he displayed his 4-pitch mix that was pretty electric. 85 to 88 with the fastball. The fastball had plenty of arm side to run. They got some chases out of the zone. Showed his curveball and slider. But the slider seemed like his best out pitch. He got a few strikeouts on that other than the fastball that he just blew by hitters. But he picked up 8 Ks. I believe it was 4 innings. Just one thing for Newman. He did work into some deep counts. But he had the stuff to get out of it and minimize damage for Great Bridge, so that was good. Then offensively, 2026 Casey Kadire, he had a multi-hit night. It's a long, lanky frame, but plenty of room to fill. He plays in the top of that order, starts at shortstop. Ability to use the whole field. He's very fundamental defensively. He knows how to play the game the right way. So as he continues to get stronger, he's going to be able to impact the baseball a little bit more, but just the fundamentals for him in his game just takes him apart right now. And then 2026, Brody Comparto, he stepped in big positions early in the game, had a runner at third, smoked the line drive into left field to score that run. He will come back up a little bit later with a mid-uppers 80s fastball on the outside corner, and he rips that backside for a single. And then he will come in later in relief, called upon in a big jam with 2 outs, and he strikes out a hitter. He attacks hitters. 83, 85. He touched 87, but man, the kid can spin it. He just showed the ability to spin that slider whenever he wanted to. get some strikes early in the count, then also as an out pitch as well. But the fastball, it sneaks up on hitters. He's not afraid to work in on hitters. He works it in and out very well. So that was just very good to see for young 2026.
It's funny. We talked earlier this week, and we talk about guys who we want to get a chance to see, and like, hey, who do we need to go through? Who do we need to see? Who did we see last year that we haven't seen this year to check and see if they've made a jump, whatever. And so we're talking about an arm, and I was like, man, I can't remember the name, and it was from a program that we don't see as much. And so I go back through my notes. And I'm like, oh, this is him. I look on the roster. He's not there. And it's what's funny is I saw him throw last year at Great Bridge against Great Bridge. And so I'm like, man, where is he? So I'm looking at, so I think I do some digging a little bit, and it's the Great Bridge on a profile or somewhere. And so I go to Great Bridge's roster, and he's on there. I was like, hey, you're going to see him already this week. What are the chances that he'll throw? Because he was a freshman last year, and he came in versus Great Bridge and was really, really good. And like Jordan said, the kid can absolutely spin it. It's an above average spin, shape, feel, all of that. So just a nice young arm for the Wildcats, and those are two 26s that you can definitely build around with Kadire and Comparto there. Kadire, similar to what we talked about a few minutes ago with Rule, is a guy who started as a freshman, started at third base, and really hitting the front half of the lineup, and had some really big moments last year, even early on, and just kind of wasn't taken over by the moment, and just played, and he's going to continue to get better. And like you said, kind of high floor, fundamental kid that's going to continue to grow into his body. So really intriguing young group there for a pretty historic program down there in Chesapeake. My Thursday, I didn't sit at home like some people. I'll hit Thursday and Friday. Sorry, I'm taking shots. My Thursday, I got to go to a hurricane. Base almost literal minus the rain. First Colonial at Cox. It was about 100-mile-an-hour winds blowing straight in. And this was one of the few games that I got a chance to see this week that was dominated by offense. Even though there were some quality arms throwing that day, the offense was really good. Started off, shocker. I think this has audio, so I might not be able to talk. Yet another Austin Irby home run, 1-0 changeup, first inning, runner on, puts them up 2-0. It was funny. It wasn't like 2 minutes before that. Miss Irby stopped to say her hellos, and she said, nobody's going to be hitting one out today. And, I mean, because it was legit 20 to 30, 35-mile-an-hour winds. And I said, if you hit one out today, you have done something. And second pitch of his at-bat. Right center, straight into the wind. But really good day for him. Home run, single up the middle in his last at bat, got hit 2 times, and then grounded out to first base. So continues to show his offensive ability. I think, my personal opinion, he is the most complete hitter in the 24 class that has the combination and shows the combination of hit tool and in-game power. There's some who have crazy raw power. There are some who have maybe better hit tool and better bat to ball, and maybe play a more premium position and more tooled up and stuff like that. But as far as hit ability, just, as Shooter would like to say, hitterish. As far as the ability to hit, Austin Irby for me is, I think the top hitter in the state. So then another left-handed hitter for them. That's a pretty tough lineup to navigate as a right-handed arm. That is Christian Dewey, junior, first baseman, corner outfielder. Obviously, there's a little bit of a log jam there at first base with Parker White and some other guys. But what was great is to see his athleticism get out of the box. It's not a bad frame or anything like that. It's just a frame that you don't always think that a guy that size, I think he's 6'2", around 200 pounds, that he's going to get out of the box and run as well as he did. I see guys who are better runners who have worse turn times because they get out of the box and they do the 1975, banana to the dugout to get inside the bag and all that stuff, but they don't realize that actually slows them down. If you watch this turn, he just stays so much tighter to the line. That's just a personal preference. Everybody's different. But I see guys who are, 6'6" runners who are turning like 4.7s and 4.8s at first base because they get out so wide. Again, personal preference, but solid athleticism for the left-handed hitter, corner outfielder, first base profile. I like the length in the swing out front. 2 hits on the day. I think he's got a chance to hit the swing plays. So just really good look at him. Jake Colucci. There was a Colucci a few years ago, Joey Colucci at Woodgrove. Jake Colucci, UNCG commit. I thought he was a little bit scattered early on, but he got really, really good as the game went. He held velo, which is something that we haven't seen a ton from him. Usually the velo jumps up there and he fades a little bit, 2 to 4 miles an hour by the third inning or so. He held it really well. I checked him again in the fifth. Velo was still holding mid-80s. I think he was like 85, 87-ish, 84, 86 in the fifth inning. And the breaking ball got better as the game went on. So just a really quality start from him. I'm going to go over to the First Colonial side. This is the third time that we have seen FC this spring. It's the first time that I've seen them. And I'm glad, for multiple reasons, I'm glad that I went. But I'm really glad I got a chance to see this bat. I just want to play that again so everybody can hear that barrel.
Please.
That's a freshman. Yeah, that's a freshman starting catcher at First Colonial, Graydon Ambrose. We saw him this summer, and I pointed that out in the scout blog. Like, we saw him this summer, and like he played really well. He really did. He was a standout for the Drillers team this summer. But sometimes, because you're playing against your age, a younger group, depending on the game we see, you might be facing like upper 70s, something like that, which you should be able to handle, right? Like, hitters as a freshman should be able to handle and barrel up upper 70s, 80, 82 mile an hour fastballs. Good hitters. So I was very interested to see, like, okay, how's he going to handle a quality senior arm that can throw secondary for strikes? His first at bat, it was like 6, 7, 8 pitches, fouled multiple balls off. I think it was sack fly. He had 2 sack flies, sack fly to right. He had 2 sack flies. I want to say both of them were backside. That ball right there was a line drive single to right. It's compact. It's clean. It works. It's good bat to ball, especially for a freshman. I really, really, really liked that swing. Watched him a little bit in between innings. And, solid arm strength for a catcher. It's not like unreal big time arm strength. But again, he's a freshman. And it plays. I just a very, very intriguing 27 at First Colonial. Graydon Ambrose was very, very intrigued by him, and he'll be a guy to watch long term for sure. And then my Friday, Jordan's already done his Friday, big time game, rivalry, Atlee and Hanover. Again, some of my videos, because I was lazy and had a busy day and all those different excuses. Atlee versus Hanover, and Evan Nix versus Noah Yoder. I'm going to throw up a video of the sword of the night, sword of the week. That was an Evan Nix breaking ball, 84, 87 early, more low to mid later. didn't have great feel for the breaking ball early on. Obviously, it got better as he went into the outing. Um, but just another quality outing. I mean, this kid probably walks a mile and a half in his outing. Like he is high energy, bouncing off the walls. And when you see him outside the field, he's pretty low key kid, right? Like when
Yeah,
you
for
talk to
sure.
him, like he's got energy and kind of you can tell he's like full of life. But like on the field, on the mound, when he's pitching, he is all over the place. I mean, he's walking laps around the mound. He didn't like a call or something didn't happen, and it's not like bad emotion, bad body language, anything like that. He's just like high adrenaline, effort, energy, attack type pitcher. So
Competitor.
what's that?
Just a big competitor. Big
For sure,
competitor.
for sure. So quality outing for him. Obviously, actually, I think he allowed two. Yeah, he allowed 2 runs. Um, I want to say at least one of them was unearned. I can't remember exactly. But navigated his way out of some traffic, made some big pitches, kept him in the game. And now over to Atlee, starter. So Friday was take your son to the ballpark night, and for some reasons that we don't need to talk about, but I had to take my son to the game, and so I said, "Hey, you're in charge of getting velo," and so I put him for a hitter or two or something when I'm going over to get some hitter velo, and so I come back and he's 95. I was like, my son's like 11. And I was like, no. And granted, like it's not a far stretch. I mean, we've had Yoder up to 94, but that'd be the top velo of the year so far. So I take the gun and I recall, and you can recall like 10 pitches. And he's like 93.7, 94.8, 95.3, 94.2. And I sent a picture in the group. It was the top velo of the year. I think the best we had on it was 95.3. But he was still pegging that in the third and fourth inning. It was a little shaky early. And that's the thing, like that we've seen with Yoder. We saw it in Commonwealth Classic. Like if he can figure out how to not go out there with that first inning, the control and command is a little bit shaky in the first. He starts landing the breaking ball usually in the second, third, fourth inning. But I tell you what, when he's on, I'll take him every day of the week. I will take him every day of the week over pretty much any other arm in the Mid-Atlantic, East Coast. I don't know. When he is on, you are not going to see hitters more uncomfortable than what they are versus him. Not happening.
Yeah.
TJ sat on here and said it, in our pod that we did with them about future games and stuff. But I mean, you saw hitters who we see regularly, and like I'm not saying that they're like major league hitters, but they don't look like they do when they're in the box with him and he's snapping 12-6 bangers at 80. Like an 80-mile-an-hour power curveball for a high school kid that's 12-6, it gets up and down. Like that's not an easy look for those guys, especially when he reels 93 right into your chin the pitch before and then goes back next pitch 94, 95 on the black. He's as good as there is when he's dialed in. When he is dialed in, there he's as good as there is. So shout out to him. I did see Gabe Corey. It kind of jumped in here on Instagram. I got that pulled up. Shout out to Gabe. Led off the 7th inning with a single. I believe it was a 2-strike count. Single battle widened out. Single to left field. And that kind of jump started the inning for them to walk it off. It's a tough way to end that game. But congrats to Hanover for that victory. Jordan, anything you want to add to the week?
No, it was some good talent this week. That like we said, we just happened to stumble upon. So looking forward to getting maybe stumble upon some more guys later this week.
For sure, absolutely jam-packed week for me. Looks like Nova twice, Roanoke 2 straight days, Charlottesville Saturday for a double dip, Richmond on Friday. So it's seven games in 6 days, or I guess that's 9 games in 7 days because I went to one today. So Jam-packed week for me. Jam-packed week for us all across the state. Last thing that I want to touch on. Summer events. If you are interested in going to future games or East Coast Super Sophomore or Junior Future Games, and you are a 2025 through 2029, I am telling you, if you want a chance to be selected, you need to be at a summer event. We have open events, we have invite events, we have events for younger players, we have events for high school age players. We have them starting May 19th and run through July 2nd. Please remember this year we have added 17U to future games. So 2025's uncommitted. It is the biggest recruiting event in the country. That is not an exaggeration. Ask anybody who has been, anyone. It is the biggest recruiting event in the country. You will not find one bigger. There is usually 350 coaches there at one site at Lake Point, and adding 17U, I can tell you you're going to see more JUCOs, more Division IIs and Division IIIs. Division II is huge in Georgia, with Columbus States and some of those Peach Belt schools. And then you're going to see more mid-majors or lower-level Division Is because you got the 17Us there. So I would anticipate, and this is just the most generic, general shot-in-the-dark number, I would anticipate 450 easy coaches on site. If you want a chance, you need to be at a summer event. State games, we are over 120 players registered. The cap is 175. So 50-ish spots left, and certain positions are getting ready to get closed down because it is a positional basis in terms of what we need to fill out teams. TPG1 is filled out, is sold out, 90 players. TPG2, we have started. That's at Liberty, July 2nd. We had to do that because the first one sold out so quick. That is up to like a dozen players. We will sell that out around 75. And then we have Mid-Atlantic Trials. Now, Mid-Atlantic Trials is during most players' high school season. We urge you to be done with your high school season, or you need to get clearance from a coach. Okay, we do not want to step on the toes of high school coaches, so please make sure that your high school season is over, or you have discussed that with your high school coach. That is the only open event of the summer. All others you will need to request invite. In addition to all of those, we have our junior state games on June 26th at University of Richmond. That is over. That's like 35 players right now, and we will sell that out around 60 to 70. So if you are intending on trying out or getting to an event this summer to get updated video and metrics and all those things, I would look into that sooner rather than later. Jordan, any big plans for this week? Anything you want to add?
No, I want to keep it a surprise. If you see me out at games, guys, you see me. I'm not gonna spill it. I'm not gonna spill it.
Last thing, and I meant to bring this up earlier. Thoughts on players running out of the box? What you got?
Gotta have it. As for me, and as a former player, I was a runner. Like, I could run. I love to run. I would love to see you guys run. Get out the box hard. Get good times. Want to see y'all see the speed. Display it. Don't hold back. Display it, please.
And I think the biggest thing is, like, look, if you're first baseman, for lack of better ways to put, like donkey, and running's not your thing, still get out of the box, right? But somebody's not looking, whether it be a scout or college coach or something like that, like they're looking to see what you run, but it's not like the end all be all. If it fits for your positional profile, if it does, it's not necessary for your positional profile. But I know I'm going to see guys who are middle infielders and center fielders and rolling like a 6-0 turn, right? Like a 5-8 6-0 turn. Like, that's wild. That's wild. That's tough. That's tough for me to go back and a college coach calls and they say, hey, do you think this kid can play, shortstop or center field? I don't know. He's got this, and this. Well, can he run? Well, I don't know. Well, why not? Well, because he ran a 6.0 turn, right? Like those turns, get out of the box, home to first. I know it's cliche. I know everybody talks about it, but just few do it. Peltier today. I forget what that time was, Jordan. I know you looked at it on Twitter, and that's terrible because I was there. His turn at first, 4.38.
Yeah, 4.38.
4.38 turn at first, and and he ran like a 3.63, 3.65, something like that, home to first on a bunt. That bunt was back to the pitcher, and he beat it out, by the way. Like, you got that type of speed, you don't even need to worry about it being a perfect bunt.
Yeah.
Right. Like, get out of the box and run. I know everybody says it, but if you plan on playing shortstop, second base, center field, I mean, even like, left field to a degree and third base to a degree, like, get out of the box and run, right? Because you may punch out, I don't know, 2 times, or something may happen. You may get hurt. That may be the only time somebody gets. So just get out of the box and run, right? It's 90 feet at a time, whatever it is. Get out of the box and run. Turn some good times out. Give people a reason to like you, not a reason to dislike, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
But appreciate everybody joining us. Looks like we got over 300 in here right now, Jordan.
Yeah.
Over 300. Good night. Good night on the High and Tight pod. So appreciate everybody being here. We'll be out this week all over the state, and look forward to seeing everyone.